Okay, our last segment, an article you wrote, Parenting by Instinct, How Emotional Awareness Guides Your Best Decisions. My first question after reading that I wanted to ask you on this was that you present emotional awareness as a parenting superpower. And how can parents begin developing this skill without judgment?
Definitely ties into a lot of what we've talked about today around recognizing your emotions, right? Like paying attention to how you actually feel and allowing that. Especially for a lot of parents that, again, in childhood weren't given that opportunity or that, I don't want to say privilege, but sometimes it is a privilege of recognizing your emotions. Um, so this superpower can definitely come up from like allowing space for your own emotions, naming your emotions, naming your kids' emotions. I definitely have a reaction when parents are like, "Oh, I can't be angry around my kid. I can't yell around my kid." Or what if they see me cry? And I'm like, "What if they know you're human?" Right? So, like, how do our kids learn about emotions and being human and compassion if they're shielded from emotion? So, I think that can definitely help in terms of having that emotional intelligence and connecting to how you're feeling. Um, I love a daily check-in. I use it myself usually when I'm driving because that's my quiet time. But like, how am I feeling? What's going on for me right now? I'm feeling a little anxious maybe. Why could that be? And then like, what's going on in my life and being more connected to yourself and your emotions because then you're going to be more aware of if something's not quite right. And I think in the article, like I talk about how, like, if there's something going on in your family's life and you're just feeling uneasy about it, like, let's lean into that. Why? What's going on? And maybe it's like you're trying not to ruffle feathers or, keep things going smoothly by just agreeing with what all the other parents are saying or what the teacher said, but you just don't actually feel okay with it. So,
Right.
is there something you could say or do?
Let's talk about gut instinct because it's often undervalued. Can you share with us and our listeners like what does it look like when parents start trusting it again?
Um, I mean, there's gonna be um, more assertiveness, like communication changes. I want to get away from the jargon, but communication changes when you're trusting your gut. Um, there's less avoidance. Things are gonna like you're gonna address things as they come up. It's not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened a week ago. I was at baby group and so said this and I disagreed. It's, I heard her say that and I spoke up, or I chose my battle and like was like, you know what, like this isn't that important and moved on, because it's not always about speaking up. Um, it's letting it go. That's important too.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So trusting your gut is just listening to discomfort when it comes up and also noticing themes, which again, therapy can be great for that because you don't have to do the work. Your therapist is actually doing the work around the themes of like, this is the third time you've mentioned you've gone to your in-laws and came home crying, you know. Um, so trusting your gut around like this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like me. And sometimes, if you've had that disconnection, sometimes like a gut response can come up as like needing to go to the bathroom more often or like having a headache. Like our bodies are pretty cool, annoying sometimes, but pretty cool in that like they really try to send us messages.
Just knowing how to recognize them. And the gut's a pretty powerful one. It's not
Yeah.
often wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes we project our fear onto our kids. How can parents, separate their own emotional triggers from their child's needs?
That's an intense question. I mean, it takes a process sometimes, but it can also be something as simple as, maybe you fell out of a tree, climbing a tree as a kid, and now you're like afraid of letting your kids climb trees. So, can you take a breath and recognize not all kids fall out of trees. um, or how do you communicate that to your kids around like, oh, I know firsthand, like I broke my arm, so let's make sure you're careful doing this, right? Those types of things. Like, are there things that your kids want to do or opportunities that come up that you're really quick to say no? Um, and then reflect back that, oh, that was my inner child, or that was me saying no for me, but it's not necessarily no for them. Um,
Yeah, certainly. As long as it's like something safe for the kids, the child is not doing anything or they're not in immediate danger. We also don't want to deprive them of maybe an experience like going into a treehouse, for example.
yeah.
If the parent fell out of the treehouse and then projecting that fear. I love how eloquently you express that, because I'm sitting here. I'm sure people listening are sitting there going like, "Oh yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense the way you put that." But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to deprive my child of having an experience and going up and hanging out in a tree for it. Obviously, we want to put things in place to make sure that they're safe, but that's an important thing to be able to understand and regulate for yourself as a human being, to say, well, hang on, yeah, no, that is me. And being able to now adjust to go about it the right way so that we aren't depriving children of potentially having like a really really cool experience, especially when it comes to tree forts.
Yes, for sure. And I also see it a lot when it comes to like trying foods. If
Oh, that's
having
a
a
good one.
fear of your child choking is like real, okay, so take a first aid course. Definitely recommend that to all parents. But also like you cut the food up small or you purate it, like they're gonna be okay. Like you're not gonna leave them by themselves. Please don't. But like, can you trust that you're doing the things to protect them? I would also say like when you have young kids, you can call 911 for absolutely anything and nobody's going to judge you. So um, I'm not saying do really super risky things. However, recognizing that you're not alone, and like I know for a lot of parents that can sometimes ease the pressure. Like knowing that you can call, the firefighters will come, and it's going to be okay. Um, so just like what are the things you're avoiding that like realistically you're probably not going to have to call 911, but um and allergies, food allergies. I have lots of parents will say, you know what? If you have a peanut allergy in your family, then how about you go to the RVH parking lot and that's where you try peanut butter with your kid. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. And some do. And that's okay. No judgment. So there's lots of things where like fear can get in the way of your kids doing things. I mean, there's bigger things as well. Like we could talk about intrusive thoughts are thoughts that just come into your head. Your brain like makes up bad scenarios that are really scary. So like if you're finding that you haven't left the house, or someone that doesn't go out much because they're afraid something bad's going to happen, like that could be a disorder. There's also very tried and true treatments to help with that. Um, so there's a spectrum of how that can show up.
Love it. Love learning new things. Thoroughly enjoying myself over here, learning about all of this stuff. I find it somewhat fascinating, and I know you're super passionate about it. So, super happy we had the opportunity to be able to do this. I do have one question left before we wrap up. In your article, I really like this. Your idea of shimmer and shadow moments. I found it to be so fresh. Before I ask the question, would you mind sharing, just so that the audience understands the difference between a shimmer and a shadow? And then follow that up with, my question would be, how can families use this as a daily ritual to build connection?
Okay, so an example of a shimmer and a shadow, or
Yeah, just so obviously they know
yeah,
what a shimmer and a shadow
yeah,
is, and how can we, use this as a daily ritual for families so that
yeah,
we can build that connection.
for sure. And you know what? I first was exposed to this as a technique when I was in grad school. We took a course, and I can't remember specifics, but anyway, and we had to watch a movie with Bruce Willis. And I wish I could remember the title because I know you're a movie buff. Anyway, he's in a movie and they do highs and lows. And so I like shimmers and shadows. You can do highs and lows, but a shimmer is like, what is shiny? What's the shiniest part of your day? What are you drawn to think about that makes you smile? Where's your joy? Your shimmer in the day. And so that could be like, oh, I was really excited. I ran into an old friend, or I booked the trip I've been putting off. And that's my shimmer. I get my kids to do this, and their shimmer might be, I got to eat ice cream. It's often around food. Then the flip side would be the shadow is like,
Okay.
what's the dark part? What's the part that's like, you want to go away? You want to hide the low. And that can be like, I didn't want to get out of bed this morning. I hear that from my 8-year-old. Or it could be, I had to make a phone call I'd been putting off. I had to pay my taxes. If you're talking with your kids, it might be something more relatable for them, where like my shadow was having to clean out the barn. We live on a farm, so shadow might be more around something like that. And so we know that it's important. There is evidence around having dinner together as a family. There is a lot of benefit to that. I know it's not possible for everyone, but if you can sit down at a table together, eye contact is important for kids learning that with food. And then go around the table, like share your shimmers and your shadows. What was the highs and the lows for everybody? You can learn a lot about each other and feel connected, and also feeling heard, right? Like, oh, I'm hearing that like the best part of your day is the ice cream that we haven't had yet. If you're doing it at the dinner table, sometimes I do it at bedtime. So just opportunity for everybody to have their own perspective of what the good and the bad parts of the day were. You can also get a lot of information from the people in your family as well, of like patterns. Like, I've noticed that your shadow lately has been, going to the gym. Like maybe you want to put your membership on hold and like take up pickleball or something like that. Like there might be themes that come out, which again like helps you to connect with each other. So it's pretty simple, and I think that it can be fun. So I would encourage everyone to try it.
Wonderful. That was a lot of fun, very informative. I learned a lot of things. I'm sure our listeners did as well. And I certainly believe that there's definitely going to be some people that want more information. They want to learn a little bit more about the topic of discussion, about postpartum parenting. What does it all mean? How do I navigate these complexities to try to enjoy the best part of life's moments and what it brings to the table? And so for those who want to reach out, maybe learn a little bit more information, what would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and reach you, and for resources, because I know you have a bunch of them?
We definitely have a lot of resources. So I would point you to our website, which is actually my name. So amber.sperling.rsw. We have some free downloadable resources. Grab those for sure. You can also email info@amber.sperling.ca and we will connect you. We are on social media, so you can look me up on there, and always sharing tips, want to add value to your lives. Reach out if you have questions or you want to be connected to resources. It doesn't have to be to book a therapy session. We're here to help, and I have interns on my team that offer affordable or no fee therapy as well, because everybody, especially in that postpartum period, which technically goes up to 1 year, but we go beyond, everybody deserves to have support. So feel free to reach out, even if you don't know why you're reaching out. You just are curious and recognize that you need something. You might not know what that is. So we're here for that.
Love it. One of the best here in Simcoe County. Phenomenal time together. Really, really enjoyed that, and very much looking forward for the opportunity to do the next one. Stick around. We'll see you on the other side.
Thanks, Sean. This was great.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com or call 705-413-3775.